Today we're going to look at 10 things that every beginning skimboarder should know how to do well. Some of these things are not always fun to practice, but I've found if you spend a little time practicing the not so fun stuff, then you're going to be able to learn the fun stuff more quickly, it'll be easier, and you're going to be that much better, that much quicker. So, without any further ado, let's get to it. Number 1, running with the board. Being able to run with the board is really important so that you can get plenty of speed. You've probably heard me talk about this before, but I'll say it again. Speed. Being able to go fast on the skimboard is what makes it fun. Your rides will actually be long enough to enjoy, and you'll be able to do tricks if you have enough speed. Now, I know for a lot of you, running was your sports punishment, right? If you did something wrong, coach would make you run. So practicing running with the board might not seem that fun, but it is definitely something you should practice a bit. If you have even just a bit of coordination, this should come to you pretty quickly, but don't overlook it. You don't want to be able to just jog with the board, but be able to really run fast. Number 2, dropping the board. Being able to drop the board is important so that 1, you don't get injured, and 2, so you can get on the board cleanly and keep your speed. There are a few ways to drop your board, and we won't get into all the details in this video. Some drop it pretty much straight down and step on really quick. Some throw it out ahead and run a bit before they get on. Different drops work well in different situations, but one thing that is important in any situation is that your board is going straight and stays straight while you're getting on. Practice dropping or throwing the board without any plans to get on it. Just practice keeping it straight. If it turns to one side or the other, then you're pushing too much with one of your hands. Also important is dropping it flat so that the tail or the nose doesn't hit first. It can be especially dangerous if your board hits nose or head first and stops in front of you while you're running full speed. Everybody wants to skim. Everyone wants to be on the board. So practicing dropping the board isn't that much fun or glamorous. But being able to consistently drop your board well every time will make skimboarding so much more fun and enjoyable. It's worth the little extra time not being on your board at first to practice this essential skill. Number 3, getting on the board. There are a few different ways to get on the board, and I'm not going to go into those now or when it's most advantageous. I've done another video on that, but there are a few things that you need to do well when you're getting on the board, no matter which way you do it. You need to come over the back of the board and keep your momentum going forward. So don't jump high and then come down on the board. Don't run around to the side of the board and get on from the side. And don't be tentative. It can be scary getting on the board that is already moving, but you have to commit to it. You have to be aggressive and attack the board. That takes a little mental preparation in the beginning. So take some time and mentally prepare to go all out and attack the board. Number 4, foot placement. The first thing that you need to know is if you ride regular or goofy foot. If I'm working with a beginner and they don't know which they like or feels more comfortable, I always do a quick little test. I stand next to them and get them distracted by maybe pointing out something in the distance, and then I give them a quick little shove in the back. Usually the foot that goes forward first is the foot that should be forward in the stance on the board. Once a rider has decided whether they're regular or goofy, then it's all about getting those feet in the right place. The back foot should be pretty far back on the board, and the front foot about in the middle to a bit forward of the middle. Those placements may be adjusted a bit for different conditions or tricks, but what should be the same each time when you get on the board is your front and back foot should land in the center of the board and not to one side or the other. Your board will ride better on the water, you will have more control, and your ride will be much cleaner the more consistently you can get your feet to the center of the board when getting on. I'm constantly having beginners look down at their feet when they finish their ride and have them notice where their feet are relative to the center of the board. They find that their longest rides are always when their feet are closer or right in the center. Again, though it may not be fun, it is worth spending some time practicing getting on the board on the sand or on the carpet to consistently get your feet in the center of the board. Good. Number 5, athletic stance. Skimboarding is a sport, and like in most sports, being able to get into what we like to call an athletic stance is going to be helpful. An athletic stance is one where we have our feet spread apart a little wider than shoulder width, Our knees are bent, our hips are dropped, and our weight is mostly on the balls of our feet. We should feel light and bouncy on our feet. This is how we should be riding our skimboard. I see too many beginners stiff as a board with high hips and straight legs trying to keep their balance on a skimboard. Skimboarding is a sport. Look like an athlete when you're riding your board. Number 6, going fast. Now that we've worked on getting on and how to stand, we can work on going fast. Speed is the key to really being able to enjoy skimboarding and progressing, so you need to be comfortable with going fast. In the beginning, the board can feel a little unstable under your feet, and there's a fear of falling, so many beginners will continue to take it slow. But again, you won't be able to really progress until you get comfortable with going fast. If you haven't reached that comfort level yet, just keep pushing yourself to go faster and don't settle. Skim and be on the board as much as you can to increase your confidence. Number 7, picking a good spot. The main thing to remember is you want really shallow water. It's pretty safe to say the shallower the better. If your board is sticking on the sand, then go a bit deeper. But if there's even a sliver of water, you should be able to skim on it. I see beginners all the time skimming in water and it's just too deep. They try to get on the board and it just sinks. They don't go anywhere. Try to find a nice long run of thin water. Sometimes I'll even dig out a bank a bit so that I can get a great spot. Now there are times where I want a little deeper water, but that is mostly to ollie or do some more advanced tricks. While you're a beginner just learning, stick to as shallow water as you can find. Number 8, distribute your weight in different places. Being able to distribute your weight differently will come in handy as you go over different depths of water, ride near banks, and to some extent steer your skimboard. It will also be critical as you spin or rotate your board in different directions. As you hunt for shallow spots, sometimes being very near a bank or going over high sand can be problematic and catch your board. But often you can ride out problem areas if you can distribute your weight differently. For example, if you're riding near the bank and find part of your board headed toward dry sand, you can distribute your weight and pop up the part of the board that would catch on the sand and ride right over it. That is actually a great way to practice this, to ride some banks where part of your board goes over the bank. You can also lean and distribute your weight differently to be able to steer your board to some extent. You definitely can't do any sharp turns unless you're in deeper water, but can maneuver some to the left or right to avoid other skimboarders or obstacles. Being able to distribute your weight differently is also going to be critical as you start to learn some tricks, especially when you're spinning or rotating the board. Number 9, how to fall. Whether you're new to skimboarding or have been doing it for years, you're gonna fall. I always say if you're not falling, you're not progressing. So making sure that you know how to fall safely is essential to keeping you skimboarding. If I could sum up safe falling, it would be one word: roll. But let's talk about safe falling in a little more detail. The first thing that will really help is to try to relax. Now I know how that sounds as you're flying through the air, but when you're not relaxed, you stiffen up, and that is when things can get broke. Relaxing will help your body stay flexible and springy. The best thing you can do to help you relax is to practice falling. You will build confidence that you can fall safely, and that will help you relax. Start by first just practicing jumping off your board. The ideal is to be able to bail off your board and just run it out. Find a bank that you can skim into and have your board stop and practice bailing off and running out of it. However, sometimes it is inevitable that you're going to go down. So let's talk about how to do that safely. If you can, try to at least get a foot down to start to absorb some of the energy and help direct your fall. Next, the natural instinct is to put your arm or arms down. Never keep your arms straight. Keep your arms as bent and relaxed as possible to help absorb some of the energy and again direct your fall, but not absorb all of the energy. You want your arm to be bent and springy. Use it to direct your momentum forward and roll over your shoulder. Practice falling and rolling out of it. The more you practice, the more it will feel natural and your body will just do it when you fall. 2 more tips. First, try to tuck your chin, especially if you are falling backwards so as not to slam your head. Second, try to get as flexible as possible. While falling, your body can be put in all sorts of unnatural positions. But if you're flexible, you can gain control much easier and be less likely to pull things. Number 10, riding switch. As you continue to progress in your skimboarding, there will be times where you find yourself riding switch, meaning the foot that is normally in the rear is now your front foot and you're turned in the other direction. This can happen during tricks involving a 180-degree rotation or body variance. So getting comfortable riding switch early on can be a really valuable tool to help you be able to land and ride out certain tricks that you'll want to learn as you progress to a more intermediate or advanced skimboarder.
All right, so there's 10 things that every beginning skimboarder should know how to do well. If you get these things down, you're gonna go from looking like a rookie to looking like a pro in no time at all. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I'd love it if you'd give me a subscribe and a like on this video, and stay tuned for more skimboarding tricks and tips videos to help you turn into a pro. Now grab that board and get out there and skim!